Number 9. Stormtrooper Takedown. The Cocoa Vanilla Galactic Cantina in Lethbridge, Alberta, opened back in 2020, 2 months before the Canadian government banned indoor dining for COVID. It was one of many restaurants that experienced heavy financial loss as they struggled to stay in business during pandemic restrictions. In an effort to attract customers, an employee stood outside the Star Wars-themed establishment in a stormtrooper costume on the unofficial May the 4th holiday. But the display had the opposite effect when concerned residents thought the worker's plastic weapon was a real gun and called 911. In a terrifying encounter captured on video, officers can be seen surrounding the woman with their guns drawn while yelling at her to get on the ground. The clip shows cops handcuffing the sobbing young lady, who got minor injuries during the takedown. Lethbridge police claimed in a statement the employee had initially failed to follow their orders and they determined the weapon was fake. No arrests were made. An investigation into the controversial incident saw no evidence of police misconduct and no charges were filed against the officers. In a statement, the Lethbridge Police Chief, Shaheen Medlizadeh, acknowledged the restaurant worker probably didn't understand what was going on when she was confronted, and that she likely had trouble communicating clearly with officers with her helmet on. He also pointed out how firearms calls are also stressful for the police, who are forced to make quick decisions for the safety of the community and themselves. Number 8. Yandere Freak. Cosplay influencer Mary Ann Oliver Snow, better known as Yandere Freak, had over 1.2 million followers on TikTok and was also famous on Instagram. The Houston-based social media celebrity, who uses they/them pronouns, was well known throughout the cosplay community. But things changed drastically for Oliver in early 2021 when they and 6 friends were watching TV and drinking one night at the cosplayer's home. One of the guests, 18-year-old Helen Hastings, was fatally shot in what Oliver claims was a tragic accident that happened while the group was playing with a handgun. It was something they did fairly often, according to court documents, and they were under the impression the gun wasn't loaded when it suddenly fired a bullet into Hastings' head. Snow took a short break from social media, but soon returned to posting and participating in the cosplay community. Several months after the shooting, news outlets reported the influencer was facing a felony manslaughter charge in connection to their friend's death. They deleted their social media accounts as word of the case started spreading, and attention became more negative. The suspect's lawyer, Brent Mayer, told Rolling Stone his client was stepping out of the public eye due to psychological and emotional trauma, and that they're incredibly remorseful for Hastings' death. It's unclear whether Snow will work out a plea deal or the case will go to an actual trial. Number 7. Daisuke Kuroiwa. Last spring, a female cosplayer went to police in Chiba, Japan, to report that she'd been drugged and assaulted by a man claiming to be a photographer. He had offered to do a photo shoot for the young woman while she was in costume. This was the typical spiel he used for reeling in multiple victims whom he approached at cosplaying events. The suspect would then drive his victim to a beach, park, or some other place where they thought they could have their picture taken professionally. He offered them a drink and then allegedly slipped an incapacitating drug into it while they were distracted. Earlier this year, police arrested an unemployed and homeless 49-year-old named Daisuke Kuroiwa in connection to the assaults. He admitted he specifically targeted young women who didn't stand out with intentions to get them alone so he could violate them. 9 complaints have been filed against Kuroiwa, and at least 5 are being pursued with the law. He's accused of victimizing at least 6 women over a 17-month period. Number 6. Melissa Turner. In October 2019, deputies from the Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office in Florida received a man-down call at a home in Riverview. At the scene, they found the deceased Matthew Trussler covered in what looked like defensive stab wounds. His fiancée, cosplay model Melissa Turner, claimed she found him dead and had no idea what happened, despite having his blood all over her hands. She then stated Trussler had been drinking all day when he woke her up and got violent with her. He supposedly wrapped his hands around the woman's neck, causing a struggle to ensue as they fought over a knife. Turner admitted to stabbing Trussler and was charged with his murder. She argued in court that she acted in self-defense when he wouldn't stop attacking her. The young woman was released on bond as the case slowly worked its way through the justice system, but she still stopped cosplaying since she got so much negative attention from the allegations and instead started selling crafts. A jury found Turner guilty of second-degree murder earlier this year. She received a 20-year prison sentence, but maintains her innocence and stands by her claims that Trussler abused her before being stabbed. Number 5. Justin Callier. During the 2014 San Diego Comic-Con, a young female cosplayer was found bloody and unconscious on a road near the convention center in the early morning. Police connected the disturbing incident to 29-year-old photographer named Justin Callier, who had a history with the woman. A simple search through his phone found a breakup text that he sent to her days before the event. When the woman woke up in the hospital, she confirmed she and Callier had been dating. But her memory of how she was hurt was fuzzy, and she couldn't remember if he had physically harmed her. He was arrested, though, and while many assumed the charges were assault-related, they actually had more to do with the allegations that he had dated the victim, knowing she was underage. Callier initially denied having an inappropriate relationship with her and said they had gotten into an argument at a hotel party because she wanted to stay while he didn't, and she needed a ride. He told investigators she got upset and ran off, and that he couldn't reach her after that. When proof of a romantic relationship was found, Callier claimed he believed the woman was old enough to date, but her family argued he was well aware of her age. In the meantime, her parents said they believed Callier was much younger than 29, as they faced criticism for letting their daughter date someone so much older. Police concluded that the woman's injuries were probably caused by an accident instead of an assault, claiming the evidence was consistent with a fall. Her mother disagreed with the findings, arguing that her daughter's injuries were not typical for someone who had simply lost their footing. It's still unclear what happened that night or what the outcome of Callier's charges were. Number 4. Stalked and victim blamed. When a 21-year-old Malaysian TikToker known as Puds crossed paths with her stalker in the Petaling Jaya district outside Kuala Lumpur during Anime Fest 2022, she went straight to police. She was still in her costume when she explained the man had lost his temper when she told him to leave her alone. A friend tried to protect the woman by blocking the crazed fan, but was shoved out of the way as he begged her to take a photo with him and to unblock him on socials. He then tried following the woman to her car when she left to go to the police. The harassment started several months earlier, according to Puds, who said the man started showing up at cosplaying events and contacting her non-stop until she blocked him. To the woman's surprise, the officer that took her report told her she was partially to blame for the type of costume she dressed up in and the photos she sold. In a tweet, Puds accused the cop of blaming her for the violating treatment she received from men simply for having a hobby. She also said the officer told her she should stop cosplaying if she's not signed with a modeling agency and to go back to school. The cosplayer filed a complaint against the officer for his disturbing conduct. Petaling Jaya District Police Chief Mohammed Fakhruddin Abdul Hamid announced in May that the incident was under investigation for a possible disciplinary infraction. If you ask us, it's not just possible, but very obvious. Number 3. Mia Rios. For 23-year-old Mia Rios, cosplay was an escape and a way to embody a character she felt a strong connection to. The student from California told Vice she related strongly to Asuka Langley Soryu from the anime Evangelion, who felt obligated to earn unconditional love as a child when it should have just been given to her in the first place. Last year, Rios posted photos of herself dressed as Asuka on social media. She was proud of the look and innocently wanted to share it with other members of the cosplay community. But she was met with backlash from commenters who accused her of culturally appropriating Asuka's character, and that, as an African-American woman, she shouldn't be impersonating a Japanese character. They also said Rios was sexualizing and fetishizing characters simply because of her race. The racist comments only got worse, and the situation took an even more disturbing turn when the woman's TikTok account was banned for supposedly violating the platform's guidelines. Rios is among a growing number of black cosplayers who feel they've been wrongfully silenced on TikTok and have fallen victim to the cosplaying community's prejudice. The discrimination she and others face highlights the problematic gatekeeping that goes on with cosplayers, who usually feel like they're protecting Japanese culture by discouraging dark-skinned people from dressing up like anime and manga characters. TikTok's decision to ban Rios only seems to reinforce a growing number of claims that the app punishes and silences black users for things it seems everyone else is allowed to do. Seems pretty prejudiced. Number 2. Matthew Masumi Toyotomi. One day in early 2019, a security guard spotted flames in the parking lot of a hotel in Ontario, California. Several cars were destroyed and damaged in the blaze as authorities rushed to the scene. Surveillance footage showed a man had dumped 2 containers of gasoline on a vehicle just before 2 a.m. and lit it on fire. The car belonged to a cosplayer named Julia Moreno Jenkins, who was going to an event at the convention center near the hotel. She was known for dressing up as the Pink Power Ranger and was actually a previous member of the group, where she met 27-year-old Matthew Masumi Toyotomi, who played the Yellow Ranger. Toyotomi allegedly became obsessed with Jenkins and made continuous unwanted advances, causing her to end their friendship and block him on social media. In a YouTube video, Jenkins said he approached her at the convention and asked for a date. Once again, she said no. Later that night, her car was up in flames. She identified Toyotomi as the suspect in the footage, and police charged him with stalking while under a temporary restraining order, and several other counts of arson. He initially pleaded not guilty and underwent a hearing to assess his mental state before proceedings continued. It's unclear how the case played out, but court records suggest Toyotomi took a plea deal and pleaded no contest to the stalking charges and one arson charge in exchange for a shorter jail sentence. Number 1. Oshiko. A 23-year-old Chinese national student named Oshiko was living in Japan in 2020 when police stopped him on the street to ask for ID. It's a common practice in the country for law enforcement to approach foreigners and request identification, and they immediately became suspicious after spotting a replica of a Japan Self-Defense Forces JSDF ID card in the young man's wallet. The card featured a photo of O with a fake name, and the expiration date was listed as 2024. It also had a statement guaranteeing the person named on the card was a military member. Officers searched O and found another fake ID card with an expiration date that had already passed. He told police the cards weren't meant as forgeries and that he had no plans to use them for illegal reasons. The avid cosplayer claimed the cards were part of the ensemble he wore when he dressed up as a member of the Self-Defense Forces. O explained he donned a military getup while playing paintball and other games with friends. He also said that he paid someone about $18 to make the fake ID, but it was only used as part of his hobby, and that he would never try to impersonate a JSDF member in reality. His Twitter page was filled with military cosplay photos, showing that O was probably telling the truth, but he was still charged with counterfeiting official documents, as authorities investigated further to see if he'd ever tried to use the cards to access a JSDF facility. O's arrest is a cautionary tale to other cosplayers to be mindful not to blur lines between fiction and reality. Thanks for watching. Would you ever try cosplay? Who would you dress up as? Let us know in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe. See you next time. Bye.